everyone. My name is Linda Mitchell, and I'm sitting here with Jim Worthington, the owner of the Newtown Athletic Club. And we are in his kitchen this evening for the second in our series of NAC Facebook Live events. What we are going to do tonight is have a little Q&A session between Jim and I. And this is based on the questions that you've already sent in over Facebook and Instagram. And we're so delighted to have your questions. During the event tonight, though, we encourage you to comment online, and we'll be able to see your questions, and we'll answer them. The last time we did this, we had some terrific questions, which Jim answered at length, some of them. We're going to try and keep it a little tighter this time so we can get through more of your questions. So without further ado, we'll get started. And I'd like to begin with a question from Paulina, who is a member. She says, can you tell us about the women's locker room and when it might be expected to be done, and anything you want to tell us, Jim?
All right. Well, the women's locker room was started about 2 months ago with the demo. It was a total rehab, so everything had to be cleared out. Then we also had to take the bottom half of the spa, which was adjacent to the women's locker room, and demo that because we've added another double the size of the original women's locker room. So really, right now, I think we're on schedule, hard to believe, but probably July 1st, I think it's going to be opened up. So it's going well. It's just, an internal job, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Clearing out all the debris, but it's going to be spectacular when it's done.
That's what I wanted you to tell us a little bit about how wonderful it's going to be, because we've seen the men's.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got a lot more input this time from not just the female staff at the club, but also some members as well. And we also traveled around, the country looking at different spa type locker facilities and things like that at the Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, things like that. So. The finishes and the way this is designed, our architect Hervé Lavoie did a phenomenal job with our team, and I can only tell you this: if the members don't like it, I'll point out the staff members like you that worked on this, so they can complain. But I don't think there'll be anything like it in the fitness industry, not in a fitness club like what we are, lifestyle club.
Well, I know that I've heard from many of the female members that they're really looking forward to it and very thankful for it, because that's a huge part of the membership experience.
Yeah, it's funny, when you and I started in 1981 there was barely a women's locker room because no one really used it.
True.
And for years it was always undersized because, frankly, women would come and with their kids, they'd come dressed, they'd run out as quick as they could because they had other things, they had family obligations. It's only been in the last 10 years where that's become a pretty big thing, and even more so maybe in the last 3 or 4 years. So I think we're ahead of the curve in what we're trying to do in terms of this total spa-like locker room. It is going to be amazing. I mean, to describe it here just doesn't do it justice.
No, I think it'll be one of those things when it's done and we open the doors, it'll be another one of those wow.
Yeah, I would tell you, if you were impressed by, say, the new boutique studios and maybe the outdoor pool, 8 or 9 years ago, this will be, light years ahead of that. That's the type of wow factor I think you're going to get.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to that. So moving on, thank you. I've talked to lots and lots of people who have said they really, really love Six Zone. In fact, one woman said to me, my husband and I do it 2 to 3 times a week. So talk to us a little bit about the vision of the boutique studio concept, Six Zone, how you think it worked out, and that type of thing.
Well, the history of the Six Zone was 6 years ago or 5 years ago when we started, was in the back, what we used to call the Blue Gym.
Yes. Which
is now going to be the new entrance into the back of the club. We had always thought that had legs in terms of, the growth and how we could stage it once we tried it there to see how it would go. And frankly, it's Orange Theory before Orange Theory was even in existence. And I decided 4 or 5 years ago when we were doing the design for the boutique, the new area, 20,000 square foot area that we just got done in October, that we were going to build a self-contained place just for Six Zone, 3,000 square feet, and it's worked phenomenally. Honestly, it's exceeded expectations. We've had visitation from all over the, not just country, the world to see it. We think it's Orange Theory on steroids, and first of all, it's everything that is and more, and it will be more. We've got some things coming up that haven't been introduced yet. But Aaron Lauder, who does a phenomenal job, our Group X director, to give an example, now when there's an instructor there during the peak hours, of course you've got somebody coaching you, but we came up with a concept that when it's not being instructed, whether it's Saturday afternoon or whatever, you can go in there at any time, by the way, and people do it all day long, which is really the cool part about it. We're going to be doing a voiceover so that you'll have an instructor, getting you motivated while you're doing it on Saturday night at 7 o'clock when there's no one there. Plus we're going to have a leaderboard to show participation. What I mean by leaderboard, more of a participation board, showing people that have participated during the course of the month, what kind of MEPs they've accumulated over the thing. So we've got some really cool ideas with it. And the other thing I want to tell you, I'll tell you how popular it is. I'm in the process of working on a concept with that outside the NAC, a franchise concept. So that's how I think successful this thing will be. So it's been everything we hoped it would be.
I'm not surprised to hear all of that because I hear it from the members, and I love the idea that it's open with all that natural light. People go in there and they just feel like they're drinking in the health of.
Yeah, I mean it's just a great environment.
Yeah.
We made sure we got all the natural light from the outside, as much glass as we could. One thing I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I think one of the coolest things in Six Zone is when they do these family Six Zone classes.
Yes.
Where the moms and dads can bring their kids in and do it together. I mean, I'm on the President's Fitness Council, so promoting health and fitness is part of what I, am charged to do and want to do. But I mean, there's so many, and we're seeing a lot of younger people that are 13, 14, 15 that can go in there, of course, 12 by themselves without their parents. So it's been a phenomenal success. It really has been.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the boutique studios. Have they met your expectations?
Yeah, they've actually exceeded. Of course, when you're the first to do something of that size or that scope in the industry, we didn't have there was nobody else. There was a similar type club with our type membership, so we had to guess on sizes, how big, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's always things you would do a little bit differently. But not in this case, not a lot.
Yeah.
And I think whether it be Pulse or the yoga studio or Reform, the Pilates, it's been phenomenal. And the good news is, now that we've done that, we're going through the middle of the club, the old part of the club, where Studio 1, 2, and Spin is, and that's what we're going to be working on next the next 2 months. So we can use some of the knowledge we gained in the new boutiques to refine what we're going to do in those 3 concepts. So we're really excited about that. And I will tell you, the Spin Studio that we got planned and what we call the Bar Lab, which we're going to be doing, which is like a bar studio, but we'll be able to do other experimental type programs that Erin and her staff are going to be doing, as well as the Techno Gym was going to move over to there, is going to be, when I say over there, where the Spin Studio is where Techno will be. Where Studio 2 is where where Spin will be.
Okay.
And just to give you a flavor of that's going to have what I would call like an IMAX theater concept, which is going to be phenomenal, with 40 plus bikes that you'll be able to participate in the class. It's just going to be tremendous.
Yes. Well, I think now that people have seen our initial expansion and the way those studios are, they can really, they have an idea of what to expect now. Again, that wow factor. Hot yoga. Lots of people are asking about hot yoga. Tell us a little about that.
Well, hot yoga has, unfortunately, where it's located is right where we have to bring in all the equipment from the outside, the contractors, to get to Studio 1, 2, and the old Spin to demo it and to bring materials in. I don't know if anybody's looked, but if you look down at the pool area, you'll see scaffolding on the indoor pool area at the end. So we are now bypassing hot yoga, not going through it like we originally planned, to go around it so we can start that construction. So we're refining the drawings on that. At first it was going to be 1,600 square feet. Then I moved it to 1,800 feet. We found there was a duct in the way. Make a long story short, because it was the old part of the building, which is 40 years old, and it was, the plans predated even me. I've been there since 1981. This was 78. So when you start busting up an old building, you start finding things you didn't know about. So we had to go back to 1,600 square feet. But that being said, it's gonna be, of all the rooms, I think that hot yoga is going to be my favorite.
Yes,
I do. I think it's the teak wood and the design of the ceiling and the things we're doing are going to make it really, really. There's a length of the wall, fireplace that goes from one end of the wall to the other. It's going to be pretty spectacular.
Yeah. Well, good. I know people are looking forward to it. All right, so that's that side of the building. Let's move to the other side of the building, all the way downstairs, and in the back corner or the back gym area. How about some insight into the programming that will go in there?
Well, that's going to be, that's going to be more of a, I would say more of a 18 to 35, 40-year-old place to go. I think it's going to be more of a millennial type facility where it's going to be, again, another boutique. The biggest we were going to have, because it's going to be 11,000 square feet. That's big.
That is big.
So that's really a health club by itself.
Yeah.
And if people, and I think they'll realize that when they pull up when that new entrance is made, because that's the way you'll access that.
Yes.
I literally have said to other members and my staff, if you broke that back boutique, that 11,000 square foot of the blue, what we used to call the blue gym, where the new entrance is, and put it a mile away, that could be a standalone gym on its own. That could be a self-sufficient club on its own. It's that big. So that will have a myriad of things in there. Parisi will still stay in there. You have all the platforms and stuff like that. But one of the cool things we're putting back there is the George Foreman Everybody Fights concept. Now, if you know George Foreman, this is George Foreman III. And if you know George Foreman Sr., he named every one of his kids George. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, every one of his kids are George.
Okay.
But this is the third. And George the third, actually, like his dad, who was a professional boxer, his dad was two-time heavyweight champion of the world. George the third was an undefeated heavyweight boxer and retired. I think he was 18-0 because he wanted to get into the business world. And he came up with this concept, Everybody Fights, which he has franchises throughout the United States, actually one in Philadelphia. So he knew of the NAC, and of course we spoke to him, and he thought it would be an unbelievable exposure for his brand if he was able to be in, look, not bragging, but the NAC's iconic in the industry. So he approached us about coming there to be able to market his concept, and he worked out a deal that was, very favorable for us to be able to display it, because he's hoping to have, I think he has 15 franchises now. He's hoping to get to 100 to 150. And he thought the visibility there with all the people that come to visit from around the world, club operators and owners to see our club, they thought this would be a good way to market it. And he's right, it will be a great way for him to market it. But the good news for us and our members is they're going to be able to get this unbelievable concept, Everybody Fights, which you'll be doing bag work, pad work, all kinds of things. And it'll be a self-contained part of that blue gym where we're designing the ambiance to it now. It is going to be a really, really cool concept. I mean, I just could see that, just people being like going bonkers over that concept. And they do already in Philadelphia and in Atlanta and all these other things. So, again, as a club, Everybody Fights as a club of its own. It's $150, $200 a month. At the NAC, you get a part of your membership just like everything else we do. So it's going to be, the members are going to have a lot of things to choose from once everything gets done.
Oh, that's just amazing. And the fact is, no other health club has this within their walls.
Well, there was one, Midtown in Chicago does.
Okay.
But we're the only other large lifestyle club that has it. But what I think is cool about what we're doing, and in the industry we're called a category killer because we're so big and we have all these things, is like any of these boutique concepts we have, if you had to go somewhere else to get them, like Orange Theory, it would cost you to go 3 times a week for the month, $170.
Mm-hmm.
If you went to a yoga place, it would cost you $150, $200.
Yes.
Everybody fights $150, $200. It's all this is wrapped into your whatever it is. I think it's 145 or 49 or something like that
Yes.
now. It is wrapped into everything. Even our spin studio, when it does, will far outclass Soul Cycle. It won't even be close.
Yeah.
Again, no additional charge for it.
Yeah.
So our goal is to get our members to stay forever, and just feel like that this is their lifestyle center.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
It's very cool. All right, let's go in a completely different direction, even if just for a few moments. A question from Erica came through on Instagram, and she says, "Are there tennis courts in the future?"
Yes, tennis courts. I've already got them drawn up. The problem is I don't have a place to drop them on the property because we're out of space at the NAC. 26 acres in the NAC. There's only so much a township will allow you to build on a 26 acre or any size parcel. So I am trying to negotiate with adjoining property owners, and I am. The problem is they know I want it. So anytime you want something, the price automatically goes like usually double. So that being said, financially it still has to work. I haven't given up on it, and we're talking every month. We talk, and there is actually a possibility. I own some other land in Newtown that I might be able to do a swap with one of the neighbors.
Okay.
But if we do, I would love to put in 6 to 8 indoor tennis courts. And that's what I've gotten drawn up. And again, to provide more complete, activities for everybody. It's the one thing. Remember, we started as a racket club, so that's where we cut our teeth with 11 racquetball courts. But tennis is something I would add. Mm-hmm. I would not add racquetball. I can tell you that right now. Okay. I was a racquetball pro. They don't get used enough. Yeah. They sit empty a lot of the day. So people ask me about that from time to time, and I love the game. I played it till I was almost 30.
Yes.
As a professional guy, but I don't see a future in racquetball. Pickleball's a possibility on the, which is one of the hottest racket sports going. Now, you may not even know, but pickleball is huge. There's an outside chance we might be able to do that in the Brown gym, the basketball court, during the week, maybe a couple days a week during the day.
Okay.
When it's not used for other activities. Yeah. At nighttime, we can never do that. It's too busy.
Too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Too much pick up basketball and other things. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's switch gears again and talk a little bit about the new physical therapy.
Progressive fitness or progressive
physical
rehab,
therapy.
Physical therapy. Yeah, you see, somebody got me up to speed today on
it. Progress physical therapy.
Progress. Why do you talk about it? You know more about it than me. I mean, I haven't been around the last couple of days. I know I just know they got started. I know they're downstairs.
They did. They got started.
So you tell us about it. I'm going to interview you.
Okay. They're already taking patients. They had they're softly open. They're taking patients already. So people can go in and ask for free evaluations, consultations, just like they did before. We will have
in the same space as the old physical therapist?
Currently in the same space.
Okay.
Now, eventually, they will move into our new wellness center space on the lower level, and they'll be able to expand their services. But they are full service, and they take all insurances. And
is this a commercial for them?
All right.
Well, they're in.
But they're in, and it'll be a seamless transition.
No, I mean this is all part of our total wellness.
It's all part of our total wellness.
People get hurt. We want them to be there. They segue into the. One thing I do like about them, I did hear, and Kate Golden's the one who put this together, so kudos to her. But,
yes.
Is they're going to be more visible on the fitness floor working with our members, what I understand, which is what interests me, that they're going to try to get out of that area and work with some of with their patients and members in the fitness
Yeah.
center, which I think is good.
Yeah.
So they'll be more visible for questions and
Yeah.
things like that.
It'll be easier for people to access them. That's part of their MO, which we really like. That's really good. Let's talk a little bit about, Kay asked about the new therapy pools. So I think we might be talking about the spa.
Yeah, the therapy pools, that doesn't do justice. I mean, no
Yeah.
offense to her, she doesn't know, but this European spa concept, which is at the end of the indoor pool, next to the locker room, the men's and women. At the end where you used to walk out walk out of the men's locker room and the women, that will be where just for directional purposes, it was really at the end of the men's locker room where the showers were and the old steam and saunas, where this European spa concept's coming from. And that will consist of 3 bodies of water, one 105 degrees, another one 95, and the one in the middle will be a cold plunge at 50-51. But everything that's going on in the industry, and again, we're wanting to be at the forefront of that, is exercising. Our members train hard, and they come in on a regular basis. Our members come in an average of 135 times a year, which the typical health club's 100. So I think it's because of all the programming and our accessibility and the fact we've never closed a day in 40 years since I've been there. But
It's true, I know.
So the recovery is a big part of keeping people active and making them feel good. So that's why we're designing this. And again, this going back to why we didn't put the steam and sauna in the new men's locker room is because it needs to be adjacent to this recovery area, or it doesn't make sense.
Right.
You can't walk 30 yards from the sauna and steam room to a co-ed recovery area. Makes no sense at all. So we've had to wait a little bit longer to get, not even a little bit, a fair amount of time. It's going to be a year from the time we shut those saunas and steam room down to they're redone at the end of this year. But what you and I have found over the years, short term you get a little bit of abuse for doing it, but at the end of the day, 3 years from now, people will say, "My God, this is beautiful! I can't believe it." And they'll forget. There's some pain short term. I've had people say, "I want a refund," and they're no, that doesn't work. I'm not going to refund you for my sauna and steam room not being there. I'm investing literally tens of millions of dollars to upgrade these facilities and no more than when I build it am I expecting to say, "Hey, it's done. I'm going to charge you significantly more." I'm not. We have a dues increase every year. We went over that last time, but that's just to cover the payroll costs. So anyway, it is going to be unbelievable. And our architect, Hervé Lavoie, has. I think you can see a rendering at the end of the pool now that gives you an idea. That whole pool thing, by the way, just not the recovery European spa area. The whole indoor pool, which is 25 years old, has a massive redo. The whole thing is going to be gutted out. Now we're shooting for June 1. We're trying to get it. We have 2 contractors bidding it now. We have to be assured that they'll start at June 1 and get it done by October 1, October 15. If they can't assure us, I can't do it this year because I don't want to go into the season, November, December, and have our members not be able to swim.
Right.
They can swim outside in the summer.
Yes.
So the worst case scenario would be put off for another year, but I'm not to next June. But that's not my preference.
Yeah.
But that pool will go from looking like a junior high school swimming pool complex to something that you would see at just a high-end Four Seasons resort. We're going to be using marble finishes. It is going to be gorgeous. Now, will there be kids in there doing swim lessons? Sure, they're going to be, in the greatest environment ever for little kids to swim in.
Yep.
It's all part of this. Again, this whole resort lifestyle, complex that we're building. So it is going to be really outstanding. We're putting another lane in. We're ripping the entire pool out. The physical therapy pool is getting changed. So it's a massive. It's $1 million plus renovation.
Okay.
So it's going to be pretty significant.
It is hard to believe. It's been 25 years.
Yeah.
But I remember in 1995 and 1996 when they were building it, seeing the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And taking
Well, people
on
thought we were
tours.
crazy then doing it. I mean, so they probably think we're crazy now. We're doing, but I mean, it needs to be.
No,
redone.
it's
It needs to be redone.
That's wonderful to hear. Well, let's move back to the men's locker room. A lot of people ask about. They see the wall on the outside. I know we've talked about it before a little bit. What's the concept there?
Well, of course, the wall's there to block, all the naked men in the locker room. So that's number one. So we need a wall.
Do they even care?
Yeah, we used to have a screen there, but the idea is that, in all seriousness, that's going to be an area that you can walk out of the men's locker room to go outside to, sit outside, get some sun, read a book. It's going to be like a garden area outside, and it's just to relax, to make a phone call, whatever you want to do. Have a smoothie, and we figured why not utilize. Look, we always try to maximize the square footage, so it's going to be a beautiful little garden area that, and not even little. I can't even say it's little. It's probably 400 square feet, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And we think when it's all done, which should be in about a month, and then we get the, put the ground surfaces down, the pavers and so on and so forth, and it's going to even have a waterfall at some point in time on both sides. So driving up the bypass, it'd be one of the first things you see on the NAC, and then on top of it, from the inside, you'll be able to look out this beautiful garden. So. That's what that's all about.
Okay.
There's a rendering in the men's locker room that's kind of similar to what we're doing, but that was from like 6 months ago.
Right.
Things change week to week.
They certainly do.
Yeah. We're always refining.
Yeah. Well, now that we're on that end of the building, let's just curve around a little bit and talk about Escape. What might be new for this coming season for Escape?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that we touched on it last time, we have a new food and beverage manager, Jamie Carnahan, who has years of experience in high-end golf courses like Philly Cricket and Old York Road Country Club and some other places, overseeing the complex and really upgrading our food delivery and the quality of our food. We've got the order in. We should have 11 more large umbrellas coming in, to provide more shade. Every year it seems like we don't have enough shade. I mean, and just to give the people an idea, it's these umbrellas it's not like you say, well, why don't you just buy 50 of them? One, not everybody wants sun or shade, but these umbrellas are $4,000 a piece. So I mean, we want to make sure that we just don't cover the place in umbrellas, but we want to have enough because. Look, being in sun's great, but here's an example. I mean, I just got a little thing done today from the sun that I had to have removed. So, I'm as aware of it as anybody. But so we're going to put them in and see how that goes. So that's scheduled. The other thing that we're doing, we're putting up more ambient type lighting to create an ambiance there that's it's already beautiful. But we're going to be changing out some other things. We got some uplighting. It's going to be on the ceilings and around the Escape Resort. We're going to add more lighting into the pool, particularly the kids' pool, so that we can extend the hours at night. So that, and I'm being honest with you, when we did the pool 7 to 8 years ago, again, we were one of the first to do it in a health club setting. We were under the impression, hey, at 8 o'clock, like any other community swim club, that would shut down. Well, our members want to stay longer, so now we got to go back and chip out the walls and put in more lighting so that they can swim safely. So we're going to do that. So I think that'd be a big hit. In fact, we're going to put enough lighting in so that if somebody wants to do a party at night and rent the facility, the kids area, or just stay later on nice nights of the week, 4th of July, things like that. So we're doing that, and then we always have other things. I mean, we're going to upgrade the cabanas. We're buying brand new cabanas. The two that we have are kind of run their course, and new furniture for there. And there's just always something going on now. You just never seem to be done out there. I mean, you can never really have enough. People say, why don't you put in more seating? Well, you can't because we're out of space. Yeah, and the township won't let us do that because we're our limits on the impervious. So the one thing we could do, and I do have plans for it. I have a thing. It's almost like it is stadium seating where I came up with an idea is we could go up up over the adult back deck or back area that they sit, and literally go up and have it almost be like a stadium concept. My architect thought I was crazy when I said it, but when I gave him the idea and we started talking about how we could get up there, it would be the coolest place in the entire club, because you would be, your back would be to the bypass looking out over the resort.
Yes.
And we could probably pick up another 30, 40 seat things there. But I mean, I got to get through this other construction before. So I think that's a year out, maybe 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to get the other things we need right now.
There are some things I'm just hearing for the first time.
Yeah. Got to keep
And that's
everybody guessing.
Even me. Okay, we have a question from Reagan. Any thoughts on ever starting NAC Apparel, fitness, clothing?
Yeah, I mean, yes. And the reason why we don't go full bore on it is because we don't really have a good place to display it. And the members, I don't think, want to be hit every day when they come in the lobby with clothes. I mean, we do it enough now that, and we try to be sensitive to that.
Yes.
When we do the salon makeover, salon and spa, Urban Allure, which is where a lot of the clothes are now. So if somebody wants to buy clothes, they can go in there now and take a look at them. We're going to try to carve out a boutique area there for the clothing. But, I get asked all the time because I have all the old NAC logo stuff that Leslie Suffern used to buy years ago, who works for us, and Nike and some other things. And people, and we do have an online, I think, way to buy it. But I don't know if we've done a good enough job to let people know. But yes, we want to get into that higher end. Lululemon's a partner with us now, and Leslie handles that. So we are trying to upgrade that area. And yeah, we love people walking around in NAC logo. It'd be good for us. It'd be good for them. And when we do it too, we're not looking to, a huge profit center as much as we just want people to, wear the stuff and be proud of the club, and friends see it and they ask about the NAC, and who knows, next thing maybe they'll be a member. So that's the reason why we want to get into it.
Yeah. So Reagan, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
All in good time. Here's a great question from Stephen. Will there be a Starbucks inside the club?
Well, I'm sure somebody slipped that out there, because yes, that is what we're working on and have secured a way and a spot to do that with Starbucks. It will basically be similar to what you find in a grocery store. It'll be a large kiosk with all the Starbucks bells and whistles. It'll be staffed by Starbucks employees. It'll be they'll have all the equipment that you have. I mean, if you close your eyes and didn't realize you walked into the NAC, it would be the same exact thing. It will have its own area in the club in phase 3. Now, that phase 3 is after 2, which is the end of the boutique studios. Phase 3 is the brand new entrance in front of the entrance we have now. So imagine when you walk into the NAC tomorrow in the main entrance, there's a whole entrance in front of that. And where the cafe is now and the front desk now, all that gets wiped out in phase 3 and gets pushed towards the parking lot.
Okay.
So, and that's where you pick up a lot more space, like where you and I sit in our office. We lose that. That becomes more into the higher end food area. And we're going to go from a cafe concept to maybe not a restaurant, but something in between. Higher end with a family section, an adult section, and a Starbucks. And I'm real. Look, I'm gonna. People ask me when's that going to happen. A lot of it's dependent upon how this phase 2 goes, how well it's received by the members. Again, a lot of things I'm building are not. None of them are revenue producing. So I mean, I'm taking on another, whatever, 10. It'll be $10 to $12 million worth of additional debt, and that has to come from the dues and everything that's paid now. So frankly, I'm hoping the members get more active in the club besides their dues. Utilizing the spa, training, frequenting the pool this summer, buying a smoothie. I think I said this last time. 55% of the money that we get from, which is all the dues, 55% of that covers the operating expenses. So dues alone doesn't pay the bills. So we have to find other ways to bring in revenue to pay it, because if not, the dues would have to be double what they are just to get back to even. So when you add these different amenities, like $10 to $12 million with the upgrades and improvements and renovations and additions, that's even more debt you put on it. So you got to find ways to make that work. So again, I'm not expecting anybody to feel sorry for me, but what they have to understand the reality of this. I can only do so much where my bank says to me, "Hey, dude, slow up because you got to make this work." I'm hoping by the time we get to phase 3, which should be a year and a half from now, the bank will feel comfortable enough to say, "Hey, we're going to give you another $5 or $6 million to finish it out," because that's what it's going to cost, $5 or $6 more million to do it.
Okay.
But I do of all the 3 phases, phase 1 was the one that was the most important to get that started, and it was a big success.
Yes.
Phase 2 is a follow through from phase 1. I see them as one as the same. The one that interests me the most is phase 3.
Okay.
I'm very hopeful we get to phase 3, but we'll do the. Hey, look, our members have supported our vision for 40 years. I'm hoping they'll continue to support it and refer their friends and stuff. I am amazed by that, by the way, not to digress, but I am amazed at how many people on these medallia surveys that we get, the online surveys we send out, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 meaning that you would refer, the most. How many members say, give us a 5 or 6 and say stuff like, well, I don't feel comfortable referring you, or I don't like to refer, and I'm there like, well, geez, that's the lifeblood of our club. 70% of the people that join are referrals. So, we're hoping our members will help us grow, help us be, financially, sufficient, so that we continue to do the things that we're doing. But I that always amazes me. I mean, I find something I love, I tell the world. Yeah. Because I want them to do well, so they can do better and keep the place nice. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, it means a lot to us, those referrals. We work hard for those.
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine if nobody referred anybody back when you and I, there was 300 members in 1981?
I remember.
300 members in 1981. Now there's 12,000 members. Yeah. I mean, most of them came from referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how business works. Well, before we get, unless we have other questions prior, before we get to the last question, which is my absolute favorite, so you got to stay tuned. And speaking of vision, just talk a little bit about the preschool.
Well, I mean, that preschool, is not really a NAC member, thing, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But the preschool is a vision of Amanda Sinkler, who runs is our GM, who ran all the children's programs in the camps. And our architect, Hervé Lebois, I didn't really have hardly anything to do with other than buying the building next door. But it's not directly affiliated with the NAC in a sense that members don't use it, but it is a way that NAC members can get their kids, into a preschool program. It's going to open up September. We finally got the occupancy 2 days ago. Enrollment is open now, and honestly, the job they did on it is just amazing how they designed this preschool. Yeah. You pass it coming in the back way off Blacksmith, and it's just we're giving an example. The bottom floor of the preschool, what used to be the basement, which doesn't look like a basement, is set up like the village, like the town of Newtown. So when you walk down it, there's an area for kids to play. That's the Newtown hardware store, and then there's a Starbucks, and that's where the kids go to when they can't go outside to play. And there's the farmers market, and it's just unbelievable the way they did it. They did a great job.
They did do a great job. There's a little theater down there. Yeah. And I want to see you do this. There is a slide that goes from the second floor to the first floor.
No chance of that.
I think you should be the first one, and we'll get it on tape. No. For your viewing pleasure. He says no, but he will. All right.
After hours, I know he's there.
Well, this question is my absolute favorite, and it comes from Luke. and he is asking, what are some of the jobs that people can apply for at the NAC, and what makes the NAC a great place to work?
Well, Luke could apply for just about any job right now because there's a million of them open. I mean, the market's so tight right now. I mean, we're looking for people from IT to housekeeping and everything in between, marketing. What makes the NAC great to work at, I think, it's basically other than you and I, because we don't really run anything anymore. We do our philanthropy and you know, advocacy work and all that stuff. But it's run by a group of younger people, people that are, you know, when I say younger, 35 and down. I mean, they've taken over, and we've kind of passed the torch. And I think that it's a whole different culture now. I mean, my way, the Vince Lombardi way, back in it became out of style 20 years ago. Thank God I don't manage anymore. But
I don't even know what that means.
In other words, like, you know, kicking a butt, let's go, you know. And
okay, I know what that means.
These guys are more in tune with what makes a good work environment and keeps people happy, and the whole team has done the management teams are doing a better job because we kind of turned the reins over about a year ago to those folks, and you know, I say that I mean, they're all involved, but people like Brian Herman, who's their CFO, and Taylor, Anthony in marketing, and Amanda Sinkler again, who's our children's director, GM. That's my dog in the background, by the way. Yeah. I hope that somebody will get that dog.
Love him.
Jeez.
Love them. Those dogs are great.
So, but anyway, and then everybody else that's involved. I mean, the NAC's got in the summer almost 500 employees.
Yes.
So it takes a whole team of people to run it.
Yeah.
But I think they've really, I think that they've just created a good environment, a good teamwork. And look, I mean, where else can you work that you actually change people's lives? When you go home at the end of the day and say, yeah, I worked somebody, whether you're a personal trainer or a hairstylist or a masseuse or even the food and beverage operation.
Yes.
I mean, all those things. The NAC is built on the idea that we're changing lives and making lives better. And that's our mission. That's our mission statement. That's what we do. It's back in the day, it was, you know, for survival reasons. It was about, you know, trying to pay the bills and make money 30 years ago when we had more partners there and it was a struggling health club. But over the last 10 years, it's really evolved into, you know, what legacy can we leave?
Yes.
And we're all about changing people's lives. In spite of what people say about health clubs, we work hard to make sure our members come as much as they can. We don't want people joining and not showing up. And every time I hear that, it burns me up because I was never like that 40 years ago. As you know, I would be on the phone calling people up and saying, you know, where have you been? It's no different now. Like Melissa Christie, member experience, that's her job. She takes it personally when people don't show up because she works hard. And our membership sales coordinators and people, I tell them, don't sign anybody up if you don't think that they're going to utilize the facility, because if not, I don't want that. So we're pretty strict on that. But the future of the club's in good hands with the young people we have. They're really, really, and a number of them have won awards, rising stars. You know, the two old people they're putting you and me out the pasture pretty soon. So it's all right. We'll find something to do.
Well, that was a wonderful note on which to sort of, I think, wrap things up, as it were. I do like that question that Luke asked, because I don't think a lot of people realize how expansive the opportunities are at the NAC. And we've given many young people their first jobs in the community. Yeah. I've heard that time and time again. And that's a pretty special thing. So with that, we will wrap up. Thank you very much, Jim. It's been great, as always.
Thanks to the 3 people out there watching.
Well, no, I have to say that we had over 7,000 views last time we did this. So this will be available to share. It'll be on our Facebook page. It'll be available other places. So you can go online and we'll put it on YouTube. So this will not be your only chance to sit with us at the kitchen table. We plan to do it again. Thanks so much.
Next time we're outside.
Are we going to be outside?
Yeah,
okay.
we're out back next time.
Right,
by my outdoor fire pit.
Yeah, fire's always there. You see the candle in the background? Well, we've got that too, if it's still there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.